We all have unfair experiences that leave us with scars. As you probably already have heard earlier, mine happened to be a fire. And as a reiteration of what happened, I know you guys are too polite to ask, so I will tell you again. At 6:46 p.m. on a Saturday of May 23, 2012, my cousins and I were preparing to be backup dancers at a local festival off the coast of Lapu-Lapu City. And suddenly, the entire barrio went dark. And I had the urge to answer the call of nature. I had to pee. I didn't have a phone or a flashlight that time, so we opted up for a candle. My little cousin Jam volunteered to be with me, and so off we went to an adventure we didn't know it was. Halfway through finishing my business up, a loud bang, followed by a split second of a light so bright, happened. And the next thing I knew was we were on fire. Everything was on fire. We screamed and shouted and banged the door, tried to find ways to alleviate the pain. At the far left corner of the toilet, I saw a bucket of water, dipped my head in it in hopes that when I resurface, I would wake up, because this is just a dream, right? This is just a very bad dream, right? But it wasn't. I was still there. We were still burning. We miraculously got out, and as we went out to seek refuge to the outside world, I stopped, looked at myself in the mirror, and asked, what will my life be after this? Who will I be after this? Don't worry, this is not a story of adversity. My purpose today is to invite transcendence of worldly events, the narratives we create around it, and the consequential, societal, familial, and individually imposed limitations and identities that come after. Breaking the victim mindset. A quick aside, transcendence is not equatable to bypassing. In my experience, the contrary seems to be true. Transcendence is a process of going through. While I did not wake up from the dream that I thought the fire was, I did wake up from societal conditionings, the labels I've had about my scars, my story, myself, and what it means to go through something and be changed radically and all-dimensionally. That night began my formal relationship with haggling, negotiating, bargaining with the life before me. We were in the hospital for 3 months, suffered second and third-degree burns on 46% of my body, underwent 9 operations under general anesthesia, and on the 9th operation, the doctor said, hey, the girls can't go under general anesthesia anymore because they might not wake up. So they did the operation while we were awake. Painful is an understatement for conscious peeling off of my bandages. The initial stage of this was being submerged in medicinal liquid in a controlled environment in the whirlpool area. I remember coming down from my hospital room, going down to the whirlpool area. The foot traffic was heavy. And as I traversed people passing by, I heard them. The gasps, the hushed whispers, and worse, the pities. Sayang, babae pa naman. But I pretend I didn't. When the whirlpool sessions weren't working anymore, the doctor said, this is out of our control now. The burns aren't healing. Why don't we give this to Mother Nature? Submerge her in the ocean. In the ocean. all these inauspicious days of my life, being submerged to everything I cannot control, the ocean paved way for waves of emotion, anger, resentment, confusion. While the ocean was working its way through my burns, I asked my mom, "Ma, why me?" To which she replied, "Why not?" And I thought to myself, if only I had the magic powers to heal myself. Afterwards, when we were going home from a physical therapy session, because you get physical therapy when you're a burns patient, the car's window wasn't tinted. And I saw a kid coming home from school, walking. And I thought to myself, hey, soon that will be me. Very soon that will be me. I will go to school and I will walk my way home. The kid looked at me and I smiled. But she replied with a terrified look on her face, as if the ghosts she has seen from the horror movies she's watched is coming to life. But I pretend I didn't. Those small moments of hushed whispers, gasps, pity, packed all the internalization of what it means to be a victim for an 11-year-old. So, I hid. I hid from the world by wearing masks and cardigans. If they didn't see the scars, they won't get to define it. The clothes, they can have a reaction, and I can even elaborate a story about why I wear these clothes. And I can let people assume things about why I wear these clothes. But not the scars. They won't go on pitying. They won't go on and give hushed whispers and shocked faces and terrified faces. Fit check. This paved way for the initial idea that one event can have multiple narratives around it. My wearing of masks and cardigans has proven to have many. One of my favorites are, I think she's a K-pop fan. Because they're wearing masks. Or, when way past the pandemic, before the pandemic, I was wearing masks and cardigans. And my classmates were, before, like grade 7, they would say, "There's a nurse, we have a nurse classmate." And then another one would say, "I don't think she's a nurse. I don't even think she's our classmate. She's a doctor." Meanwhile, wearing masks and cardigans allowed me to focus on aspects of myself that weren't external. I had identity expansions through various desirable difficulties. I got to strive hard in my academics, go for creative fields such as directing a film, go to camps, talk. I like talking, as you probably can tell. My personal favorite is going to the gym. I take this as a desirable difficulty. Despite its very strenuous act of going there, I know by the end of it, I will become strong and maybe have some six-pack abs, who knows? In my quest to expand my identity, I went to a summer camp, an environmental summer camp. And during the campfire, the vice chair, said to the whole campfire, "Hey, I want to have what Lara has. I want to be what Lara is, just without the scars and without the pain of going through the fire." And I realized, although the fire I did not deliberately choose to go through, there is a desirable result at the end of it, as stated by the vice chair of that environmental camp. And I get to choose to see it as a desirable difficulty that the universe has put in my life so I can transform, maybe have wisdom and light that only I get to share to the world. But hiding from the masks, sure, it did give me a lot of good things, expanded my identity, but hiding from the world is safe, but it also means hiding from myself, and I could no longer reject the fact that I have scars or I went through a fire and reject myself. So, on my 7th accident anniversary, I went to the place where the accident happened and did exactly the same things I did. I went inside the comfort room, did my business, went out, and as I went out, looked at myself in the mirror. But this time, instead of questions, I got my answers. What will my life be after this? Who will I be after this? A victor. Although I didn't realize at that time, more than the answers I had over the questions is the dawning understanding that I have the power to choose who gets to answer the question, who gets to define what I see in the mirror, who gets to narrate and describe what happened and what it means, which is me. And as if the universe supporting me in my journey, for taking ownership, for taking the direction of my narrative, it provided me with different redefining moments. Take meeting Miss Ebona, for example. Miss Ebona, we were preparing for an oratorical competition, and as you probably can tell, competitions, you need lips to read what the speaker is saying. And she said, "Lara, I will not ask you to take your mask off, but I'm really curious, why haven't you after all these years?" And I said, "Well, duh, it's very obvious. When people would see my scars, they would think I'm ugly. They would think I'm unpresentable. They would give me those shocked faces and hushed whispers." And she said, "How did you come to that?" I was like, "I assumed, because when exactly you assumed?" And this conversation taught me to hold myself accountable, because the things I thought other people thought of me were the things I thought about myself, and I had to work on making it an empowering one. Or meeting Brian, whose kindness allowed me to redefine what it means to have scars. We were talking, and after all the conversations, he never once asked why I was wearing a mask, why I was wearing a cardigan. So I had to ask, "Why didn't you ask?" And he said, "Because you're more than a face." The scars, the mask, gives peculiarity. Like there's a story, and a real good one at that. Or meeting Naisa, whose candor empowered me to accept myself radically with unconditional positive regard. Naisa was the first stranger, quote unquote, to see my scars, below, like these scars on my face. And I was bracing for the horrified reactions, right? I was bracing for, oh my gosh, he's gonna. But I was met with nonchalance. And she said, "Huh? Okay. Okay, thank you. You look the same to me." Or meeting Gabula, whose empathy validated the path that I'm on and celebrated the favorable and unfavorable parts of being human. And living with my mom, whose grit and resilience challenged me to find solutions and go past victimhood, would ask me, "Inday, what role do you have in creating this situation? What can you do to go past this and make this situation better so you can live your life?" Having these different perspectives, disempowering, empowering, gave me the insight that perspectives are arbitrary, Perspective, as I have learned, is the alchemy we humans get to play with, and it is a matter of choosing and creating favorable and empowering ones. And so I thought, these perspectives, of course I get to choose. Of course I get to create, and it is my responsibility to create that. But it doesn't always have to come from other people. You can and should give it to yourself. But how? By consuming what I want to become. Watching Matilda, who said, nobody else is gonna put it right for me. Nobody but me is gonna change my story. Or reading a lot of books that allowed me to become someone who sees possibilities in life. That however many detours, roadblocks, or curveballs life throws, we can always begin again. And listening to Cynthia Erivo's song that made me become someone who embody having inside of her everything that she has to live a bountiful life, to be grateful for the good and the bad, because I'm here, and that's beautiful. On October 2019, I went up to our roof, sat on the far left corner, looked up, took a deep breath, and said, I've been blessed with the best people ever manufactured on earth to be with me, to empower me. I've done the empowering myself. I've done my share of that. And I've consumed media to empower me. But I'd be lying if I said I'm okay, because when I looked at myself in the mirror today, my heart had a pang of hurt. Please give me a heart that can accept what I can't change. And when I opened my eyes, I saw the stars and the moon shining so bright. And something uncontrollable happened. Gratitude washed over me. Not because I have accepted, but because right then and there, I was looking at the moon and the stars, and I exist. And maybe that's enough. It took me a while, but I eventually did accept. And that acceptance led to transcendence of worldly events, of the narratives I've created about the scars and the fire, of the societal, familial, and individually imposed limitations and identities that I had. And these led to the 3 fundamental truths that I personally learned. First, I am more than blank. My scars, I am more than that. My story, I am more than that. Societal norms, I am more than that. Gender roles, I am more than that. My career, my finances, what other people thought of me, I am more than that. We are more than that. Past the form and into the substance. People and experiences have their essence, and it is our responsibility to go past their form and look for the essence in those circumstances. And my worth, my beauty, and my identity are elusive and omnipresent. That regardless of external manifestations and internal processes within and without me, I am worthy, loved, and valued. Sure, we may have unfair circumstances that happen to us, but when viewed through the perspective we get to choose, these unfair experiences can become unfair advantages that will leave us with wisdom, transformation, and light that only we get to have the experience of having and share it to the world when we do. But we need to choose and choose fervently to see what our eyes can't and go beyond what our minds have been accustomed to, so we may find the light in whatever it is we have the privilege of experiencing and share it with the world when we can. Part of myself has been engulfed with flames, and that's something we can all say one way or another. We may have different fires, and you may come up with different realizations, but we all have the alchemy of perspective. So we get to choose and see this remnants not as ashes, but as pixie dusts, vital to becoming phoenixes that light up others' ways. Victims? We're not. We're victors.